Welcome everybody to the Santa Barbara City College Promise Orientation, our first ever event. Congratulations to those entering fall 2020 as their first semester in the Promise. For those continuing on the Santa Barbara City College Promise, also congratulations to keep going and persisting on your educational career. As a recap, the SBCC Foundation was launched by the SBCC Foundation launched the SBCC Promise in fall 2016. So now we're 4 years deep, providing all local high school graduates with the opportunity to attend SBCC full-time free of charge for up to 2 years. Let's break down what exactly does that mean. At SBCC, you can either be a scholar or working towards a short-term degree to get an advance on the industry that you want to get into. Let's start with what is offered at SBCC. Whether you're a continuing student, a community member, or a parent, know that there are 80 plus academic majors at SBCC. And although there are over 80 programs for an academic career on your journey through education, you don't necessarily have to pick a scholarly major, as there are also 50 plus programs on career technical education. The top programs for academics are business, communication, engineering, psychology, and biology. If you see your major on here, you're amongst the top 5 majors at SBCC specifically. Again, if you are thinking, well, I don't necessarily want to study something academic, you can totally check out a career technical educational program, which are also very, very popular amongst SBCC Promise students, especially those who are thinking about choosing a major and are just taking general educational classes. These are some areas where they are top ranked. Health technologies such as EMT courses, cosmetology and esthetician programs, marine diving, culinary arts, and automotive are some of the top programs from the 50 career technical educational pathways that you can take at SBCC. Along with that, what is covered when we talk about you enrolling in one of those programs or pathways at SBCC? When you choose an academic major or a career technical educational program, we are going to cover your tuition fees, aka your registration fees. Right now at SBCC and at all 116 community colleges, for the most part, it is $46 per unit. If you calculate that times 12, it's about over $500 for one semester. If you don't qualify for certain programs like the CCPG, the California College Promise Grant, which waives those registration fees if you qualify, we will go ahead and cover that ourselves. What happens is the cashier's office and us and the foundation have an agreement where we are billed for your registration fees. So when you look at your class schedule and your bill in the PDF format, you'll see at the very bottom that you should have a zero balance. When it comes to covering your mandatory fees, that will also show up in your bill and class schedule. We also cover your required books. You may have seen a message sent to your SBCC pipeline email regarding this area, which is how do I order my required books and required course materials? Whereas if you have not received that message, please email either Wendy or myself, and we will provide that information at the end of how to reach us. It's also available on our website. So again, we cover your registration fees, mandatory fees, such as your student health and student representation and bus pass. We also cover your required books and your required course materials. How do you know if something is required for your class? Check your class syllabus, and you can also check on the bookstore website where you will be ordering your materials and textbooks that are required by your professor and an instructor for that particular class. Now, just a recap of those who do not know, what are the only 2 eligibility criteria to be eligible for the SBCC Promise. So if you're an initial student, brand new, or you're thinking about going to SBCC as a Promise student, you only have to complete your high school, your secondary education within the Santa Barbara Community College District, whether it is a GED or the equivalent or the traditional high school graduation. The second thing to keep in mind is you have to enroll at SBCC for either the fall or spring semester immediately after your graduation from high school or the equivalent. For example, let's say you graduated in the spring of 2020. That means that you're eligible for either fall 2020 or spring 2021. So you can either sign up for the fall or spring semester immediately after graduation from high school. If you graduate mid-year or mid-year grads, as they're called, let's say you graduate in January, you have either spring or the following fall semester to start as an SBCC Promise student. So what do we mean by the Santa Barbara City College District? Here is the map of what it looks like if you live and go to school in the area, which is from Goleta down to Carpinteria. And there is a tool available on our website. If you click on the word Santa Barbara City College District on our eligibility page, you'll notice that you can type in your actual address or the address of your school, and you'll see if it lands within the map, you are eligible to sign up if you're a recent graduate from high school or the equivalent. We do have students who are enrolled in online high schools, and you also qualify if you live and grew up in the area. There are students that grew up doing homeschool, so that is also an option that we look at. For the most part, we have to review this through a process called the SBCC Promise Eligibility Appeal, and more information on that is available on our website. I will go over this at the end through the Q&A session by navigating how to explore our web pages of the SBCC Promise. Again, this is a rendition of what it looks like to live within the or attend a high school within the area. Now, let's break down those requirements that are to continue being an SBCC Promise students. Now, we went over the eligibility of how to become or sign up to be in the Promise or participate in this project. Although we do not ask for a lot when it comes to our requirements. These 4 core requirements, really there's no way around it. And these are also ways to set you up for success. These are things that you should already be doing to be a successful student. For example, our first requirement, really important, is to apply for financial aid every academic year. If you applied last year, 2019-20, you will need to apply for the 2020-21 academic year, whether it is through any of those financial aid applications that I will go over in a moment. 2, you will need to commit to a full-time student schedule. Yes, 12 units is the minimum. And the reason why we ask for students to be in a full-time student schedule is that research shows that not only do students experience a more successful academic culture when they involve themselves in a full-time student status, the research also shows that students are more likely to persist and continue and transfer to or complete their educational goal. 3, participate in a minimum of 1 academic counseling session each semester. So whether that is through EOPS counselors or the counseling team with the counseling department on campus, and the instructions are listed on their website on how to create an appointment or schedule an appointment with them. As of March 2020, you can now do remote meetings with an academic counselor using the Starfish app. And again, those instructions are listed on their counseling website. One quick way to get there is Google or use your browser to type in SBCC space counseling to get there. Again, this is minimal to participate in 1 academic counseling session each semester. 4, one of the most important ones, but really we don't monitor this one as much because it's up to the campus to let us know, and it's up to you to really enroll and let us know if you've been academically disqualified by the college. And that is the only reason we would find out if you're not meeting academic standing. So again, remaining good academic standing at SBCC requires students to not be on academic probation or academic disqualification. So in order to do that, you want to be in at least a 2.0 GPA or higher. My ideal GPA would be for you to start off with the mentality that you already are starting SBCC with a 4.0 GPA. Even if that's not reflected on your transcript, think 4.0. You're starting off, it's your job to keep it up there, but at least strive for a 3.0, which is a B average. Let's break it down a little bit more. So with the first requirement, applying for for financial aid every academic year, you can either apply by submitting the California College Promise Grant application, also known as the CCPG, or you can submit a free application for federal student aid, which is called a FAFSA. Or if you're an undocumented student and do not have a social security number, you can apply for financial aid in the state of California through the California DREAM Act application. Any of these will count for our requirement. But remember that there is a March 2nd deadline to benefit the most out of these programs, either state or federal financial aid. And in comparison to the Promise, as you can see, the SBCC Promise is way different than the financial aid programs from the state, from the federal government, and the California Community College system. We only cover your required books, registration fees, mandatory fees, and required supplies. The California Student Aid Commission or the California Aid offer the Cal Grant to some students, and to others, the California Chafee Grant for foster youth. So they manage those programs. The federal student aid programs are the Pell Grant and the Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, also known as SEOG, as well as federal student loans. If you are an SBCC Promise student, I highly recommend to avoid using federal loans until you graduate from SBCC and transfer to a four-year university where you're actually going to need those loans, unless it's an emergency, and then you could use those in that particular moment. The California Community College system, where it's composed of 116 community colleges, yes, 116, they offer the California College Promise Grant, where they waive the registration fees that we cover if you don't qualify for it. Again, this is the comparison. We are not financial aid. We are managed by the SBCC Foundation. All the other programs are managed by the SBCC Financial Aid Office. So if you have a question regarding financial aid from the state, federal, or community college system, please refer to the SBCC Financial Aid Office. Enrollment. So we ask that you commit to a full-time student schedule. You must register for at least 12 units every fall and spring semester of each academic year. You may have a question about summer. Summer is optional, but we highly recommend it. Again, summer, you can choose to take advantage of that, and there is no minimum or maximum units that you can enroll in for the summer session. During the fall and spring semester, if you are part of the DSPS program and have an approved reduced unit load, you don't have to meet the 12 unit minimum. For that reason, you count as full-time because of that exception and that agreement that we have with disability services and programs for students. Again, check in with Christian Limon or anyone from the DSPS department to see if you're eligible for a reduced unit load for any fall or spring semester. So once you are approved for a reduced unit load, you have that approval throughout your academic career at SBCC. And we cross-check our list to make sure that you meet those requirements. Rolling on with the full-time student timeline, this is a good visual of what that looks like. And pay close attention to year one. If you're a brand new student or continuing, just replace the dates. Remember, if you're brand new to SBCC, fall 2020 is your first semester, you are required to have 12 units. The same goes with spring 2021. Once we hit summer session, again, they're optional. My recommendation is take 6 units each session. You get 2 free sessions. Again, no minimum or maximum, but if you do that same timeline for the first year, boom, you've completed 36 units. Year 2, you're required to take 12 units in the fall and 12 units in the spring. And guess what? Boom, you have 2 bonus summer sessions right after your second year as regular semesters go. So you can take, my recommendation of 6 units, another 6 units, and in total, you have over 60 units completed if you take the regular 12 units each semester. And on top of that, reach out to your academic counselor to really strategize what this plan will look like for you. Some students do choose to take 15 units and not do any summer session. You can talk to your academic counselor about that, which is why we have that expectation and that requirement that you meet with an academic counselor at least once a semester to really go into your academic planning and strategize what is the best pathway for you. Academic counseling. So you are required to take 1 academic counseling session each semester. That does not mean that you can only do 1 academic counseling session. Some students do 4, 5, depending on what their needs are. And for fall semester, the timeline will look like August 1st through December 11th. If you have an appointment throughout that timeline, it counts towards your fall semester requirement. In the spring semester, if you do an appointment between January 1st and May 7th, and once your appointment ends, the academic counselor goes ahead and logs it in, and that's how we're able to know whether you met this requirement or not. Again, you have a few months to complete this requirement. I recommend that you do it early in the semester because you just never know what's going to happen. Again, they're doing this remotely. Academic achievement. Again, I'll emphasize we do not have a GPA requirement for initial eligibility for the SBCC Promise. Many others in the nation do, but we don't. And all we ask that you meet the standards of good academic standing defined by Santa Barbara City College during your time as an SBCC Promise student. For them, that means be above a 2.0 GPA. That is a C average, because you will be removed from the SBCC Promise if you are academically disqualified by the college. If this has been your experience, you'll know that there is an appeal process for you to get back into the Promise. We always ask that you return. We try not to be punitive. We want to be supportive in this process and in your experience at SBCC, which is why we really expect you to take full responsibility of these requirements each semester in academic year. If you are brand new or contemplating of becoming an SBCC Promise student, or if you want a reminder how you got here, remember the first steps to apply to SBCC through the admissions process, and they have several steps to enroll, about 6 or 7, depending on what route you take. Every fall and spring semester, it is open enrollment along with the California Community College system. That means they don't have a yes or no answer whether you become an SBCC Vaquero. It's on if you complete the steps to enroll. Once you have that application down, you can create an SBCC pipeline account where you control everything, because that is your student portal. Again, that is where you also have an SBCC pipeline email account where I recommend do not necessarily forward to your personal account, but keep track of your Google Calendar through the pipeline account and hold yourself accountable by checking your email every single morning or every single afternoon, whatever works for you, because different departments try to reach you, and we try to reach you and send you all the information that you need, alerts, along with our new SBCC Promise newsletter that we'll be announcing soon. Review the SBCC Promise eligibility requirements. If you ever have a doubt, you can always call us, email us, or send an appointment for an online session, but always check our website. We also have an SBCC Promise information sheet that breaks down the eligibility requirements if you need that reminder. And for those that are part of the SBCC Promise or thinking about joining, there's a sign up portion in our website where you will have to plug in your SBCC pipeline username and password, and that would match the information that you put on your admissions application with what is required for the SBCC Promise. So if you see an error, or if you have a friend that's ready to sign up and they see an error, please take a screenshot of that and send that to me or to Wendy so we can review what is going on with your admissions application. Remember, for those of you who have already signed up for the SBCC Promise, welcome, congratulations. And those that are willing and able to participate in the SBCC Promise, this is the oath you pretty much take when you opt in. Verbatim, these are exactly the words that are on the opt-in option at the bottom of the sign-up page for the SBCC Promise. So this is exactly what you said. Yes, I would like to participate in the SBCC Promise. I have read and agreed to the eligibility terms above. I understand if I do not meet the eligibility requirements by the deadline listed, I will be removed from the SBCC Promise contract and will have a balance due for my enrollment or tuition, fees, books, and supplies. So really important to emphasize this prompt because this is what you're agreed to when you said, yes, I'm signing up for the Promise. And as a reminder, we send messages and alerts to let you know that you're in danger of not meeting one of these requirements, and we're here to support you through this process. Let's stay connected. Although we do not have our own social media channels yet, look out for the future for a possibility of that. We do have a connection with the marketing and communications department at SBCC where we will be channeling any flyers or communications out to you, in addition to our messaging, notifications, and newsletter from the SBCC Promise directly into your SBCC Pipeline email account. You can contact us via email, whether it is directly to Wendy or myself, or through the promise@sbccfoundation.org website, the 805-730-4416 hotline number that I will answer your phone or leave a detailed voicemail to call you or email you back. And you can also explore our sbccpromise.org website. We'll be directing you to the SBCC Foundation website with all our pages. And on the bottom of that page, I will show you shortly. You can also set up an online appointment to meet with me. In the office hours that we are available are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Then again from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. So if you call me on the weekend, I'm not going to answer. If you email me during the weekend, please be patient. I will answer on the next business day. If you call past 5 p.m., it is likely that you will need to leave a voicemail. Please leave your K number and your full name when you are messaging us either through voice or through email, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Now I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to allow for our Q&A session to begin.